What is up, Chimichangas? Cory Vincent here, and this is Videogame BANG, brought to you by NerdReactor.com, Corsair Gaming, and Antlion Audio. We just got back from watching the Deadpool film. It is actually Thursday, February 4th, 2016, so the movie has not come out officially yet, but we got a pre-screening ticket thanks to Eddie Villanueva. We decided to go with a group of friends, including YouTube Sean Long, who is joining us on this very show to give all of the spoiler-free opinions on the film. Now, if you want to hear spoilers, we're also releasing a podcast the same day as this one, but it's going to say spoilers all over it, and that's the one you're going to want to go to if you don't care about the film or maybe you've already seen it. But I'm very excited. It was a great film. All that and much, much more on this week's Videogame. That's right, people. Another Quickies edition of the podcast. We haven't done one of these in quite a few months. Maybe the Star Wars.
The
Eddie,
Star Wars one was...
You were here, right?
December.
Feels like so long ago.
Yeah.
Joining us on the show, we have a loaded panel of people just straight from the movie theaters. We got to go see the movie early. Thanks to my co-host on this lovely program, Eddie. How you doing?
Doing great. How you guys doing today?
You know they're not going to reply.
I know, but
you
know what? I'm hoping that they could reach out through the internet and just shake our hands and say hi.
Give you a giant.
I'll shake your hand.
There we go. I'll shake
shaking
Sean's
his hand.
I'm shaking his hand too.
You're co-hosting on this show. How does that make you feel? I don't think you've ever been an official co-host on the VGB.
No, but you know what? There's a first time for everything, and I'm willing to give it a shot. And that's about it.
Things Eddie said on his wedding night. Boom!
There you go.
And also joining us on the show, he's brand new. See, I like to run each VGB like it's a wedding. I have something blue, Eddie.
Something blue.
Something new.
Something new.
In Mr. Chad Reilly, first time on the podcast.
Just
hi.
Don't even go there.
Okay, Chad, you're going to have a little more talking out of you.
Hi. Nice
Thank
to be
you.
here. Love it.
That's what I love.
There we go.
That's what we need. Now, Chad, I've known this man for a couple years, I want to say. And you are an author, a poet.
I don't know about the poetry part, but I like to write screenplays.
And you are a man of the cloth. It's great to have you on the show. I'm really looking forward to what you're going to be able to bring, because we have Eddie here, who's our movie expert. We have someone who actually writes stuff to become movies, and then we have...
Well, see, that's the great thing about Chad. The great thing about Chad is that we can actually sit for hours and discuss movies for hours on end, just sitting on the couch.
It's true, all the boring minutiae that nobody else cares about.
I mean, who says minutiae?
Exactly.
This is a man.
That's why we got the man on the show.
Who is just set on wowing the crowd. I'm excited.
A man who makes money wowing plenty of crowds on the popular forum of internet called YouTubes. Joining us for the very second time on the show, welcome back to the studio, Mr. Sean Long.
What up, big kids? By the way, going back to the wedding joke, I thought I was going to be something old because, I've been on the podcast before.
I was kind of waiting for that.
He was something borrowed.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because
true.
He's his own entity, and we're borrowing the expertise of Mr. Sean Long for the VGB podcast.
It's okay. I'm a little old. I'm in my 30s now, so that's pretty old for all the listeners.
Well, you know what, though? I don't think you were able to beat Chad.
What?
Are we gonna have an
All
old
on
off?
the carpet.
Yeah.
It's all
Are we
gonna
having
happen.
an age off?
You know what? This is a podcast of truth, and we're gonna speak it right
Yeah.
now.
I'm here, and I'm already discriminated against.
Exactly.
Everyone looks good for their age.
So how old are you, Sean?
I'm 32.
Chad?
Oh. I edged him out. I'm 33.
There we
yeah.
go.
There you go.
Truth reigns.
Chad's
All
the
right.
old guy on the show. No, just kidding.
If we had Aaron Carter
I'm
here,
old
we all
and
know
new.
he's 86.
There you
I
go.
know.
But black don't crack.
There you go. Exactly.
So if you guys are tuning into this podcast, this is the one that's not going to have the spoilers. We're going to put two out. I know it's going to be confusing, but one will say no spoilers. One will say loaded with spoilers.
Yes.
And that's to be fair. We want to spread the love. So if you do not want Deadpool spoiled, you're into the right show. It's not going to be extremely long because what can you say?
It'll be Sean Long. Sorry.
Damn. Good job.
There you
Man,
go.
if I had your last name,
I know.
I could do so much with it.
Oh, man.
I'd
Well, I
Probably
love
more damage than good, but still,
Yeah.
he could do
I
so
know.
much with it.
I know.
Are you be a porn star in like an ironic way?
Oh, man. That
yeah.
was what I was going to do before YouTube and stuff. I was going to do RedTube. No, there you heard
He's
it.
going to do RedTube. You heard it first here, folks.
I have no
Sean
idea
Long
what
was
that
gonna be
is.
on RedTube.
That joke goes over my head.
Google
Ah,
it.
yeah.
For kids who may be listening to the show, do not Google that.
Don't Google it.
Kids
Please
don't listen to this podcast.
Only Google if you're 18 and older. Yeah.
There we go. That's our disclaimer. Now we're legal. Legals,
Yes,
are you
there
happy?
go. We are legal.
Yep. Legal's happy.
Yep,
Okay.
Legal's happy.
So let's start off with the obvious. Was the movie good? Going around the table, Chad.
I think it was, yeah.
And give a little explanation.
Okay,
What did you
so-
expect coming in?
Well,
Without spoilers, of course.
I'm familiar with Deadpool to a certain degree. My whole childhood, I started with the Ninja Turtles, and then I quickly moved on to the X-Men. So the X-Men universe is really my cup of tea. So I'm familiar with the character. I knew what to expect. Obviously, you've had quite a bit in pop culture recently. The video game that was a couple years ago. I don't think anybody, with all the massive marketing push that Fox has been doing behind the movie, there's nobody who's really been paying attention who would be surprised by the content in the film. So knowing what it was going to have in it going in, I thought it was pretty consistent with what it's been putting out there, including actually the Odd Valentine's Day promos. There was a much stronger focus on the love story than I was expecting.
Yeah, that's very true. And I want to go into something too while we're talking about the rating. Sean had mentioned before it started that this was like banned in China.
Yeah, it's banned in China.
Do you think this deserves, Sean? Like I didn't feel anything.
No. I've seen way worse films, even in the superhero genre, that were already. I feel like Punisher, maybe, but like the Thomas Jane one, or even Warzone, but not this one.
But see, the thing is, on the drive over here, I was thinking, you know what could have actually set it off as far as them thinking, okay, you know what, we should maybe not let our people see this. The idea of having somebody turn back against the people who controlled him, who tried to put a control on him, and maybe I'm just throwing out a thought.
I never
maybe
thought of that.
he turned around and the idea of having somebody going against the people who have controlled him for that time, or was trying to keep him under control, and to have them go after those types of people, because I mean, let's face it, China is not the freest country in the world.
Wow, that's dang.
Either that or nobody wanted to go through the trouble of translating the constant joke factory that is Wade Wilson.
Because there was constant, innuendos throughout the film, not to give anything away, but there was constant of that. Yeah, that actually also makes sense too. But
yeah.
That'd be a lot of work for any language translator.
I know. Yeah.
There's only so many ways you can say penis in different languages. So.
I know.
And so many pop culture references, I don't know if another country would even understand.
Yeah, it spans decades of pop culture references. I know it's like a lot of 90s stuff, current stuff. I noticed a lot of different references.
Yeah, see, it's so hard because I want to go into the references, but we're going to be catering to an audience of virgin ears and virgin Deadpool watchers. So we're going to keep being good. So keep me honest. The room, if we say...
He said watchers.
Eddie, was the movie what you expected?
For what we've been exposed to previously with the first iteration of a somewhat Deadpool.
Oh God, which was referenced plenty of times.
Yes,
it was definitely referenced, and I think this film lived up to what it set out to do. I thought it was a good film. I'm not gonna go as far as saying great and things like that. There were a little bit of things that I could have been ironed out. But overall, I thought it was a good film. I thought they hit the mark as far as setting out to create a solid Deadpool tale that if this was the only form of Deadpool that they ever did, if this was the only film of it, I think they could stand on a success with this.
Sean, do you think it'll be a franchise, or do you think they're going to kill it here?
I hope it becomes a franchise. I love the film. I feel like after watching X-Men Origins Wolverine and being such a fan of the character, we talked about playing the game a few years back. I enjoyed the video game, not gameplay-wise mostly, but for what it was. And it definitely gave me everything I wanted in a Deadpool movie. There was actually, like we were saying, it did focus a lot on the love story. It definitely is a love story. So it does have a plot. It's not just like, oh, Deadpool kills guys and says funny things and breaks the fourth wall. There's definitely a lot of that, but I really like that it kept it very focused on that. I didn't mind that it was very love story based, but in a very R-rated superhero way. Yeah. And I feel like, like you're saying, if this movie does tank, I feel like at least we got something proper. As they would say, like we didn't get the Deadpool movie we needed. We got the one we deserve.
Exactly. That was one thing we all had said in line was that no matter how we come out of this film, the one thing we're all going to be looking for was that this film does right by re-portraying the Deadpool character as opposed to what we were left with Wolverine Origins.
Yeah.
If this at least does that, then it's done its job.
And it
See, I
definitely
think
did.
too, just having come fresh from the movie, I think that history, both, well, the Ryan Reynolds history, if you will, actually enhanced the experience of the movie.
I agree.
It goes beyond simple self-referential into like the pop culture meta. Like it is self-referential.
Yeah.
It goes out layers, and I think that if you're clued into the history behind not only the character but also the performer inside, the costume, beneath the mask or whatever, it actually makes it even more enjoyable for those flops in various different realms or attempts. For those flops to have happened actually makes this story better.
Yeah.
Now, we were talking about the financial success factor of this movie. It looks like, based on what we saw, because we went and saw Hunger Games early, we saw Avengers early. Eddie's seen a lot of early movies. What do you think about the amount of people there? Is that usually indicative of how big a movie's going to be? Because they had to turn down over 100 people.
Yep.
They did turn away 100 people, and that usually is indicative to, well, okay, first things first. With this film, this is, so in case anybody doesn't know, we're based out in Sacramento. That's where VGB is based out of. So when a film does come out in Sacramento, we don't normally get the first showing as opposed to other major cities such as New York or LA. As far as the first major press opening for a film pre-screen, today, as in Thursday, was the first day for not only Sacramento, but also all the other major cities as far as LA opening to the press and everybody else. So that's a big deal. So what we got to experience today, being in line and seeing over 300 people in line, leading all the way down the actual way of where we were at.
Yeah.
That is actually a really good sign as far as, because the promotion of it was really short as far as letting out people know the tickets are available. You need to, really scramble and grab the
you're
tickets.
like, you belong to the secret circle. You have your media contacts that you get stuff from, and then you also are in the same kind of subterranean world with all these soccer moms and people who have no jobs or on unemployment who just like scalp these. They don't scalp them. They don't sell them, but they like make it their
barter.
life's mission.
Yeah, they grab the tickets and then
And not Aaron, but see, that's a compliment. I'm already calling you Aaron.
I'll take it.
Eddie is like involved in these people's lives.
Yeah.
Like we're in line and he's like, "Oh, that's Karen. She's doing Zumba.
I
She's
know.
crazy."
You know all the backstory.
That's Ethel. She's a bitch. he knows everybody, and they all know him.
See, the thing is that with what I do and all the information I get, I try to be able to share as much as I can with a lot of people that are in line. And that's pretty much the community of people who go to these pre-screeners. And like you said, most of them are usually either out of work or they're part-time or they're retired. So grabbing them from them and bartering, they like to barter. Like if you have tickets to next week's showing of such and such, and you want a pair of those, but you also want to go to this other one on Thursday, and they have them, you can kind of barter between them.
But this was like a big deal. You said this one went up and then it was down.
It went up. So the information for this one went up at about 11 o'clock at night for about 2 minutes.
Ooh.
And in 2 minutes, over 81 tickets were given out. And after 2 minutes, they were gone. The only other way you could have gotten them was if you knew somebody or you were able to get a hold of some one of the radio station promotions that put it out very late in the game.
This didn't have a radio sponsor.
It didn't have a radio.
This was all just pre-release screening tickets.
It was straight pre-release screen tickets, and I guess because the press that whoever put out the tickets later on during the week, I guess they couldn't pay for the actual press area.
Well, and it's interesting because there's been quite a bit of talk in the media about this film, about how they only made it because they could guarantee not going over a certain budget threshold. And it would be really interesting actually to see the marketing budget behind the film, because they really want this film to succeed.
Oh, yeah.
They
The
want it to
marketing,
do well.
It
It is
markets itself. If you go to any convention,
diversified and everywhere.
Sean can attest. When you go to a convention, how many Deadpools do you see on average?
Yeah, I think Deadpool is the most cosplayed character right now in the con scene. I think him and Harley Quinn are the two most I'm even actually for the next con coming up, Grape City Con, I'm actually doing a version of Deadpool. I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, I'm doing my own Deadpool. So yeah, Deadpool is definitely very popular in the con scene, and yeah, the marketing, I was gonna say, even if this movie fails, it's one of the best marketing campaigns I've ever seen. For
The
a movie.
emoji billboard was just brilliant.
Oh,
That was
man.
actually really
Brilliant.
smart. And going back to that, the cosplay thing, I mean, not only are people cosplaying as Deadpool, but they're cosplaying as Deadpool portraying other things.
Yeah, I know.
So
that's
not
what's so
only do you
great.
have Deadpool, but you have Deadpool
There's a
that's
meta of Deadpool
Yeah.
cosplay.
It's
Oh,
like
I
a
know.
cipher for anything that you would want to comment on, including other superheroes.
Oh, yeah.
even Disney. There's remember, I don't know, or it might have been with you, Corey, when we were looking at the videos from San Diego Comic-Con last year, and there was a Deadpool, Jasmine, and Aladdin.
Oh yeah.
So I mean,
They
Well, even in the comics, I mean, you have Deadpool, who's been around for a while. You've got a character,
Sorry. I just
Spider-Gwen, who was very popular this past year
Oh, yeah,
in the
Spider-Gwen.
convention scene in terms of cosplay. And then the comics introduced
Gwenpool.
Gwenpool, who
Yeah.
now is in her own series.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
It's trending.
It's like instantly pop-up character.
I talked about this on the show a little bit, the Deadpool movie, and my apprehensions. My fear was that it was going to be too much T.J. Miller and
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds, like
just
filth
bantering.
and
Yeah.
banter,
Yeah.
and like it would feel like some self-indulgent, them guys just being funny movie. I was super impressed how it was not that.
It wasn't at
Yeah.
all.
I was very thrilled, and the best thing was the comedy was actually good.
It was.
It
was
stands alone. You
hilarious.
can just put title comedy on it. You don't have
Yeah.
to put superhero. It was funny.
Yeah.
The
it was
jokes they
funniest,
made,
man.
Right from the opening credits,
The
which
opening
we won't give
credits,
away.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
even the opening credits are used to comedic effect.
The ending credits were
Oh yeah, it
were
was,
even funnier.
It was
Yeah.
funny to the very last scene. Like I'll just
Yeah.
say that.
Yeah, stick around after the credits for more yucks. That's what the comedians call
Oh
it.
yeah.
Yucks.
My one critique, because I'm not leaving this movie with an amazing new appreciation for Deadpool by any means. I still have the same general opinions. He's not the character for me. His comedy is not my type of comedy, although the movie was funny and you
Yeah.
can appreciate that. This will probably be the first and last time I see the film. I
Yeah.
don't really have that urge to see it when it comes on Blu-ray again. I'm not going to go to the theater and see it again. I'm glad. I feel like I'm a better person for having seen it and all that. That's all good, fine and dandy.
Yeah.
I thought there was the love story. I think that was a little much
Well,
for
the thing-
Deadpool. I don't feel like that. If anything
It was-
betrayed the character, I think it was the love story.
It did carry on a bit too much for me. I mean, I understand that you have to have a focal point for any story. You have to have a wraparound as far as for any story of any hero or anti-hero in this case. And the central focus I understand as far as this one is the love story. But I think the amount of time invested into it as far as being shown on the screen might have been a bit much. But then in the same thing, too, I mean, we could honestly probably complain if it had gone the other way around, saying, you know what, there was too much of this, but people who are actually investing into that type of story, who go into the movies and are like, oh, I didn't know
The
that.
people who
Deadpool-
decided to bring their wives.
Exactly.
What do you think, Sean, of the love story? Was it too much?
Well, I am a big fan of both Ryan Reynolds and Marina Baccarin, who played copycat, or I forget, Vanessa. I think that.
Yeah, they never called her.
Yeah.
They didn't,
copycat.
but
Yeah, but that's the character in the comics. But I love her as an actress. I love their chemistry together, so I didn't mind it. But I do understand where people would be coming from. I think with Deadpool, it's probably not something like, oh, we're gonna go in to a Deadpool movie looking at a love story. It's like that's probably what will shock a lot of people. It's like you think, oh, this is the Merc with the mouth, so he's gonna be funny and deadly and all this stuff, and you probably don't think in any media, like even the Deadpool video game, there was nothing about the love story in there.
But then, you know, I do think though. Then now that I think about it, I do think though the story of the actual relationship does break up the the fluidity of just consistent gag after gag
Yeah.
after gag.
Well, and you have to consider too, they have to appeal to a somewhat mainstream audience.
Oh yeah.
To break even on their investment on the movie. So, when you're going to go ahead and invest money in Valentine's Day promos, while nobody really expects it to be, a rom-com or anything on that level,
It kind of is
to have
in
it
a way.
actually
Yeah, it
pay
is a
off,
little bit. Yeah.
to have it pay off the love story aspect for those who would potentially be enticed, even on DVD or something else further down the road to watch it. It all solidifies that bottom line.
Yeah.
If they're going to go ahead and have another go at the character, they'd better give it their best shot right out the gate. And I will say, one of the things that they did to kind of offset the I guess oddity of the love story having such a central focus in a movie about Deadpool is, from a story perspective, it's actually quite complex. The way
Yeah.
that they interweave different elements of the plot, different moments in the timeline are interwoven. You're looking back, you're looking forward, and it's all handled pretty well, decently smoothly the whole way through. Maybe a couple of missteps here and there, but
Which
it
we'll
was,
talk about in
it
the
was
spoiler
also
one, 'cause I have some
fairly
questions.
compelling the way they structured the script. If you peel away all the layers, how they layered that story in there, it's not all love story all the time.
Yeah.
It's punctuation moments, as is the revenge arc.
Yes.
Or all the jokes
Yeah.
that happen.
Wow, we've already gone over what I planned on doing, but this is good. Sean, one last question before we get to final reactions. What did you think about the utilization of the X-Men that they did have
Oh,
and the X-Men brand?
Remember, without giving spoilers.
yeah. Okay.
Well, we know that Colossus is in there. We can say
Yeah.
that. We
Yeah,
know
and,
that Negasonic
Teenage
Warhead.
Teenage Warhead is in there, so we could.
Yeah.
That's not spoilers.
Yeah, I going to budget, I can see why and they chose those two. I actually love this portrayal of Colossus. I think anyone that wasn't satisfied with Colossus in the last few X-Men movies, even though I liked him, even especially in Days of Future Past, this is definitely the most comic accurate Colossus. I swear, the only thing we needed was like him and Kitty Pryde like hand in hand together. That's the only thing. But I actually liked the X-Men they did use. Of course, and I will talk about in the spoilers about like they could have had more X-Men, but this was focused on Deadpool, and it is in the X-Men universe that they're creating, even though it is very breaking the fourth wall. So I do like it, and hopefully we'll see the X-Men we did see, like Colossus and Negasonic. I always forget how to say your name.
Negasonic,
Negasonic, Teenage Warhead.
Yeah.
Negasonic,
Well,
Teenage
hopefully,
Warhead.
hopefully we'll see them in future X-Men movies. Hopefully, if
Yeah.
this does become a franchise, Colossus and her will be in either X-Men or Deadpool sequels,
Yeah.
because I really like them.
I kind of felt like now I've gone back and forth on this 2 or 3 times already just from the movie theater here, which is only a 3-minute drive.
Yeah,
At first, I hated Colossus's accent.
but
I
it's
was like, this
Russian.
is so terrible. Like, I was like, this is so cheesy and cartoony. But then it hit me. I was like, well, I'm watching a Deadpool movie.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
It makes sense.
and the Colossus from the cartoons and anything
the
video
same
games that you'd seen
wonky
him in was
Yeah.
a terrible accent. Or if I was Russian, I'd be offended.
Yeah,
But and then I go back, I'm like, but still, like, I want something kind of based in reality. But ultimately, they did a great job with the X-Men, I think,
Yeah.
the utilization, and they incorporated them in the comedy bits.
Yeah.
I can't say no more. So we're gonna go around the table, round robin. I'm gonna give you like less than 30 seconds. Talk to the people right now. Should they go see the movie, Chad?
Okay, wait, is this a star rating or?
Bing it or bang it.
It depends on if you like the character. I'm not necessarily the biggest Deadpool fan in the world. I enjoyed myself. I definitely probably would have seen it if I had to pay money, but I wouldn't pay money twice.
Definitely, probably, and he wouldn't pay twice. I like it. That's how I felt about my first girlfriend.
Oh.
But
Eddie.
I kind of feel, seeing it, everybody should at least see it once. It's not a film that you're going to want to continue to reappear at the theaters and see over and over again. Now, for the hardcore Deadpool fans, they're going to find that film's going to find their niche in there, and those people are going to love it. Just bottom line, because of the fact that people want that redeeming story of the train wreck that was Wolverine Origins.
Yeah.
So I feel any person who has any type of allure for Marvel, at least see it once. And those people who are great, ginormous fans of Deadpool, try to hide it a little bit, and just enjoy yourself quietly while you see it the 10th time.
Yep. Sean.
Oh, yeah, if you're a huge Deadpool fan, you'll love the movie. If you're a casual Deadpool fan, this movie might sway you. But yeah, you have to be really a fan of like breaking the fourth wall jokes. There is actually a plot with a love story, but yeah, so if you're a fan of the actors, you'll love it. Otherwise, I'd probably say it's not like, you know, any of the like the really great ones like X-Men Days of Future Past, or because that was an amazing film. But yeah, so it's very different from that, even though it's technically the same universe. So just don't go and expecting like super grounded. There is some dark moments in this film, I'll say that, but definitely it's very fun, entertaining, had some great humor, great action. I was very impressed, so I definitely would say go see it. I'm gonna go see it again at least a couple more times.
I think I'll just wrap it up here, and then we'll do the little outros. So basically, if you love Deadpool, you're gonna cream over this movie. That's just the bottom line. If you kind of like Deadpool, you're gonna like the movie a lot. Even if you don't like Deadpool, I think you'll still enjoy it.
Yeah,
that's where I was. I'm not a Deadpool fan, but the movie was just legitimately funny.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. You can't knock that. Like, even if you don't like the character, it's a pretty damn funny movie.
It was.
I'm still working out how I feel about all the plot and the story and the twists and the revenge and all this stuff. But definitely worth the price of admission. Better than Ant-Man. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think
better
so.
than Ant-Man. So thank you guys listening to this spoiler-free episode of the Video Game Bang Quickies, where we talked about Deadpool. If you want to see, or listen to rather, the episode that has all the spoilers, where we're going to go full banana chimichanga nuts. And I don't know. I'm not a Deadpool guy. See, you could tell in my humor, I'm not a Deadpool guy.
You were close. You were close.
That one will be posted as well, and it's going to say spoilers all over it. That's what you're going to want to check out if you've already seen the movie, or even if you don't plan on seeing the movie, you want to see maybe, I don't know, we could save you $15 possibly. Other than that, we got to thank our sponsors, Corsair Gaming. Come sail away with us. Antlion Audio. Hear the Roar, and nerdreactor.com. Thank you guys so much for checking out this episode of Video Game Bang. For Sean Long, Eddie Villanueva, and Chad, we will see you on the spoiler episode.